A very good Saturday evening to all our viewers, and this is the weekend edition of Primetime News. They come to you live and direct this evening from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. I'm Joel Outskun. Let's start off with a look at the headlines.
Floodwaters recede. Many areas continue to experience heavy rainfall. Colombo 2 Office of Perpetual Treasuries Limited sealed. Sonagala Sugar Factory employee launched strike against Minister Lakshman Kiryala. Doctors speak on the obstructions faced in controlling the spread of fever in the south.
We start off the news with some weather-related news. Now, the rainy weather condition that prevailed over the country is easing. However, reports suggest the water level of the Attanagalu remains unchanged.
Our correspondents reported a number of areas in the Gampaha district continue to receive rainfall. The water levels of the Attanagalu have already reached flood level. This afternoon, the Gampaha-Ganemulla main road was 4 feet under flood water. As the floodwater flowed downstream, the Jayala Canal overflowed and submerged a number of areas including Jayala Thuru, lowlands in the Jayala town and Bopitia. With the rise in floodwater levels, there is a risk of the banks of the Jayala Canal being washed away. The locals who had understood the risk had placed sandbags on the banks of the canal since Wednesday, and the Sri Lanka Navy supported their efforts today.
This area experienced flood more often. The authorities turn a blind eye to this situation. We request for a bund or an embankment or causeway be constructed here. There are children who are sitting for their examinations. Their books and clothes have been destroyed.
The rainy weather condition that prevailed across many areas in Puttalam is gradually easing. The floodwaters in Puttalam and surrounding areas are gradually receding as well. However, transportation along the Maduran-Kulya-Kumbuk-Kadavala road has come to a complete standstill as a bridge along the road was damaged by raging floodwaters. Chilau and surrounding areas experienced heavy rainfall today. The Chilau-Colombo main road was flooded in several areas between Madampe and Mahaweba. For the second time in 1 week, several areas in the Puttalam district experienced floods. Floods are caused by the heavy rainfall and the water flowing down from higher ground. I am currently in Madampe, located on the Colombo-Chilau main road. Floods in the area have hampered vehicular movement and several areas in Natandya, Mahaweba and Renapur are underwater. The Sri Lanka Navy and the Puttalam District Disaster Management Centre rescued a family trapped by floods in the Arachikatua area. The rainy weather condition experienced in Kurunegala has also eased. The Sri Lanka Navy, the police life-saving unit and the locals worked tirelessly today to locate the 43-year-old man who was washed away by floodwaters in Magulagama, Panduasnura. The man had attempted to cross the Magulagama bridge on a motorbike when it was flooded. The rainy weather condition experienced in Kalutara district has also eased. However, the Bodhinagala area in Ingiriya, which was flooded after the Kaluganga overflowed, remains inundated. This is the Bodhinagala area. This area is completely submerged and the locals say the floodwaters are receding. A majority of the people living here are those who depend on tea and rubber cultivations. Their cultivations have also been affected by the floods. It appears the area would experience rainfall in the coming days as well. The rainy weather condition experienced in the Gaul district has also eased. The Bandegama water gauge in the Ginganga, which was at flood level had dropped to 3.8 meters by this morning. However, several areas experienced a minor flood situation.
Well, now the Minister of Disaster Management, speaking to reporters today, commented the compensation would be provided to houses damaged by the inclement weather condition.
We have reached a decision to provide an initial installment of 10,000 rupees to all houses that have suffered damage more than 10,000 rupees as a result of the disaster situation. This will commence from today. Our decision is to provide them with 10,000 rupees to be resettled in their homes until we can ascertain the complete estimate. We have allocated 39 million rupees for this purpose.
The members of the three armed forces and the police rendered an immeasurable service to rescue lives, casting aside their own safety. Police Constable Delan Sampath will be remembered for his dedicated service to save the lives in the face of danger.
28-year-old police constable Delan Sampath was the eldest in the family of two and was educated at the Giriulla Vikramashila National School. Delan Sampath joined the police service following the completion of his school education and thereafter served in the Deniyaya, Mathura, Hakmana, Vennapu and Chilau police stations, and a year and a half ago he was attached to the Madampe police. Delan Sampath returned home for a vacation just 2 days ago and left home on Thursday after worshipping his parents, keeping in mind his duty to serve the nation at a time when disasters have affected the country. Yesterday, Delan, together with his colleagues from the Madampe police, visited the Galmuru area in Madampe to rescue a group of children trapped by flood waters. Though the team was successful in rescuing the trapped children, Delan was not fortunate to come back alive. The Sri Lanka Navy, Army, police and the locals launched an operation to locate Delan this morning. However, they could not. He cast aside his personal safety and his vacation to save the lives of others. Police Constable Delan Sampath, the nation salutes you.
Well, now relief items donated by the general public to the Sirasa Shakti TB1 Sahanayatra as aid for the flood-affected victims were distributed to disaster-stricken areas today as well. A complete report on this story will come your way, but first, let's head on to a short commercial break. Well, just before heading on to a break, we mentioned about the Sirasa Shakti TB1 Sahanayatra. Well, now relief items donated by the general public to the Sirasa Shakti TB1 Sahanayatra as aid for the flood-affected victims were distributed to the disaster-stricken areas today as well. The Sahanayatra is the outcome of a collective effort of the Capital Maharaj Organization Limited and the selfless contributions of the general public.
Aid was distributed to those affected in the Puttlam district till midnight yesterday. The relief items donated by the general public of this country were distributed right to the hands of the flood affected with the assistance of the state officials in the area.
We were finding it difficult to sleep. This is a blessing.
This is an area surrounded by water. People here live under very difficult conditions. As Sri Lankans, all of us have to come together to help out our people at times of disasters like this.
Meanwhile, this morning, another team set off from the head office of the Capital Maharaj Organization Limited in Bravewood Place in search of flood-affected victims in the Kurunegala districts. The team began distributing aid in the St. Anne's Church in Kattimana, Udubadava.
We lost most of our belongings, but those who contributed should be blessed.
Until now, there has been no proper assistance. Not a single politician nor party has come to help us as yet. I pray before God for those who have made these donations be blessed.
We are helpless with a little child and with no way to make any food. May those who contributed be blessed. Water just gushed into the house. It's just my son and I. You helped a lot.
More generous Sri Lankans continue to drop off aid to the flood affected at the Capital Maharaj Organisation Limited head office today as well.
It is difficult for us to access those who are displaced, so we decided to make our contribution to the Sirisa Shakti Sahana Yatra. We also collected funds from others we know and did what we can.
Once again, a very big thank you to all those generous donors who came forward to extend a hand to our helpless brothers and sisters during this time of peril. Moving on with more news, the Perpetual Treasuries Limited premises located in Parkland Building in Colombo 2 was searched today.
The office premises of Perpetual Treasuries Limited in the Parkland Building was searched in the presence of the chairman of the Perpetual Group, Jeffrey Joseph Aloysius. Sources close to the investigation said Jeffrey Aloysius had claimed he was not aware of the location of the documentation required by the detectives. Sources went on to say most of the cupboards and drawers in the office premises were locked and Jeffrey Aloysius had claimed he does not have the keys to open them. Therefore, the investigators sealed the premises and would consider the future course of action. On Thursday, the Port Magistrate sent notice on Jeffrey Aloysius to accompany detectives to search the premises to locate documentation required for the investigation.
MP Ravi Karunanayaka responded to questions posed to him during a visit to Lanka.
I am a civilized politician, therefore do not pose such questions at me. Allow them to speak on this. We are engaged in clean politics. We can bear it when the media poses unnecessary questions. It is better for you to pose this question to him. He is my friend. It's fine if he reprimands me. Ask it from him.
The 16 SLFP MPs who left the government launched a series of public meetings today, and their first meeting took place at the Uyangwata grounds in Matara.
The meetings themed Independence of the Conscience commenced after obtaining blessings from the Kalutara Bodhi. 13 of the 16 MPs were present, however TB Ekanayaka, Anura Priyadarshana Yapa and Tharunath Basnayaka did not attend the rally.
If we send a man from Sri Lanka to Mars this year and bring him back in 2100, and when asked who is the leader of the UNP, the answer would be Ranil Wickremesinghe. When we were in cabinet, we spoke to the president and put a stop to a number of things put forward by Ranil Wickremesinghe, which were in fact harmful to the nation. If the leader of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party is saying there is no point in remaining with the government and remaining would only cause destruction to the SLFP, and if he is requesting the 23 MPs to take a decision, why can't they reach a decision? The state accounts which were held in state banks have been moved to private banks. President Maithripala Sirisena requested the respective cabinet paper be withdrawn on 3 separate occasions. Yet, Ranil Wickremesinghe put forward the cabinet paper on 3 separate occasions. There are hundreds of similar incidents we can speak about. It was the UNP that said they do not want Ranil. More than 50 UNP MPs requested President Maithripala Sirisena to remove Ranil. He spoke to the Prime Minister and requested him to step down. When he refused again, he was asked to step down. Yet when he refused, the top officials of the party were called to ask him to resign. Then all the ruling party UNP MPs were called in and he was asked to resign. When he refused, we advocated for the motion of no confidence. We assumed the coalition government that was created is something like a marriage between a man and a woman. The people hope for reforms to the constitution and the electoral process. We continuously told Ranil Wickremesinghe the coalition government is something like a marriage between a man and a woman, but he said otherwise. If he understood that, children would be born. He says no and maintains his stance. When he asked from Mangala, Sagala and Akila, they agree with him. This coalition government is like a marriage between two men and not between a man and a woman. Duminda also says yes to that. My friend Amar Veera also says yes to that.
Well, shifting our attention onto a story that made it to the headlines. Now, employees attached to the Savanagala Lanka sugar factory have been staging a strike action since last evening.
The Savanagala sugar factory, which was under the Ministry of Industry and Commerce, of which the minister is Rishad Badiuddin, was moved under Minister Lakshman Kiriyalla following the recent cabinet reshuffle. The Jatika Sevaka Sangamaya, affiliated to the UNP, the Sri Lanka Nirahas Sevaka Sangamaya and the Intercompany Unit and several other trade unions who oppose this move are engaged in this strike action.
The sugar factory reached a great level of development by 2015 and had a fixed deposit of 732 million rupees. They are looting those funds by placing the sugar factory under the Ministry of Lakshman Kiriyalla. We don't know what happened to those funds.
Our correspondent said the employees only attended to the essential services of the sugar factory.
2 Wildlife Department personnel have been interdicted over the incident where a bear was shot dead by personnel attached to the Kirithale Wildlife Office. Today, wildlife veterinarians stepped away from their duties as a mark of protest to this move.
On the 24th of May, wildlife officials attempted to capture a sloth bear that was terrorizing the locals of Girithale, and during that effort, the bear was shot dead. Trade unions say interdicting 2 people over that incident cannot be acceptable.
At times, we will have to aim our weapons at the animals for the protection of the people. The bear was attacking a person and in order to save his life, we were forced to shoot the bear. It takes for the tranquilizer to take effect. During that period, the animal can cause serious damage to the person. At such an instance, based on the Fauna and Flora Protection Ordinance, if a person been seriously harmed by an animal, it is not a crime to kill that animal. If one enrolls to the army, one must serve with his personal safety in mind. As wildlife officers have to interact with wild animals, they too face risk. This is part of their duty.
The officers say they are engaged in their duty with minimum facilities.
It's been 7 decades since the ministry was established. That is not an excuse for dereliction of duty. The bear is dead even after the people were injured. There is no need for explanations from the officer thereafter.
Well, on to a story which is making a buzz around the public these days. Now, doctors of the Karapitia Hospital convened a media briefing today on the issues which have arisen in controlling an outbreak of a viral flu in the southern province.
The cases are mostly severe, or the allergies have mostly been contracted among children under 2 years old. So the Karapitia Hospital is the only hospital in the entire province with a pediatric intensive care unit. Also, there are just 2 doctors with specialist training for this purpose for the entire southern province. There are just 7 beds in this intensive care unit. In light of the situation, children whose conditions are critical are being treated at the adults' ICUs. So we request the government to treat this matter as a priority and provide the necessary equipment and resources as quickly as possible. One of these beds usually costs around 5 million rupees. You may have seen the values of certain vehicles on the road. One of those vehicles costs more than 7 of these beds put together.
high flow oxygen meters
20 meters of high flow oxygen was recommended for these patients. After this request was made, it was published in the media that the ministry has taken measures to immediately provide 10 meters of it. But we haven't received it as yet. It was, however, reported in the media that it would be provided soon.
The 72nd housing project constructed under the Sammata 7 housing project was vested with the public today under the auspices of Minister of Housing and Construction Sajid Premadasa.
The village constructed in Dibulagala has been named in Lensithuam Gama and comprises of 25 houses. The event to hand over the houses to the new occupants were also graced by State Minister of Foreign Affairs Vasantha Senanayake and Daham Sirisena.
If you look at the Ministry of Housing and Construction, Sajid Premadasa can be viewed as a minister who is carrying out a large number of projects initiated by the late Premadasa. This is a pillar of strength to the present president, and a large number of projects have been completed in the Polonnaruwa district. When you are a political leader, you need to be humble and love the country. President Premadasa loved the people in the village. The incumbent president is also humble. Today, some look at solving the issues in Sri Lanka, but they do not think like Sri Lankans. It must be noted that those who are high above will soon fall to the ground. Some speak of their defeat and loss as if they just woke up. There is no surprise. When the agenda is not prepared accordingly, and when one does not listen to the voice of the poor, defeat is imminent. We won in 2015 with the support of the poor. We elected a leader who will also represent the poor. We will always win in a journey where we understand the pulse of the people.
MPs and ministers have seen their wages and allowances being axed following the introduction of the new Inland Revenue Act. Several of them made comments to the media today, highlighting the fact they too are inconvenienced. Let's have a listen to what they had to say.
Karu Paranivithana was quoting Ashok Abesinghe as saying he is left with no salary after tax. It is reported MPs are facing issues after their wages have been subjected to tax. It does not affect me because I have not accepted any salary. I think a large sum is slashed. If I am not mistaken, MP receives a salary of 60,000 rupees or 70,000 under this system. If we are using a state vehicle, that too is taxed. This system will have to be reviewed. We won't have to beg. We can eat, drink, be employed and survive and engage in a business with the remainder. I think aspiring for the latter is wrong. There is no opportunity for that. MPs and ministers' salaries are taxed. Our salaries are taxed. That is not an issue. They should be taxed. But the innocent people must be provided with relief. What we had was a system where everyone was taxed indirectly. We hope to change that and minimize indirect tax.
With that, we move on to a special segment, The People's Voice.
Dambulla and surrounding villages were facing difficulties over a period of time due to dry weather, and now they are facing even more difficulties with the continuous downpour. Heavy rains have continuously destroyed their cultivations.
The cultivations were destroyed. We spent hundreds of thousands to cultivate these crops.
All the crops have been washed away. The chain and the cultivation have been destroyed. We are in a debt and cannot make repayments. We pawn our jewelry to engage in cultivations.
The cultivations are because of the excessive rain. There is no way of farming. The crops have been destroyed.
Against this backdrop, the prices of vegetables at the Dambulla Dedicated Economic Centre have increased.
Most of the vegetables have been destroyed by the heavy rain. There is an increase in prices. Chili has been increased to 150 rupees. Beans is priced at rupees. Tomatoes are priced at 120 rupees and so on. Though the price increase, there will be a situation where we will face a shortage of vegetables.
Well, with that, we wrap this edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for stopping by. If you missed out on any stories, simply log on to our website. That is www.newsfirst.lk. I'm Joel Otskun. Have yourself a great evening ahead. Take care. God bless you.